Well, welcome. This is General Services. It is July 24th. On your right, Kiki Miller, and on your left, Dan Gukin. And we are here to get some business done. And first up, we're looking at requesting approval of a transfer of lease from J. McMurray Enterprises to VMC Northwest LLC, that's a lot of words, DBA Coeur d'Alene on Ice, relating to the seasonal ice skating rink at McEwen Park. Bill, welcome.
The Murrays decided that they were going to get out of the biz, and their current manager from last season is picking up the business. And so what we decided to do was just transfer their existing lease. So I think they're the third year in. So he's picking up from where they left off, and everything's the same. So we'll see the same setup. The Murrays will help him start up this year to get him off and running. And, you know, you saw, or you have seen how well received that ice rink is. And so it's a real popular, I'm so glad we have it, because we always, I've said before, wanted a winter activity, something, and now we have it. And it's I would say it's close to a mainstay now.
Nice. Any questions?
No, I think it's great. I was just commenting that if you want to live here and enjoy the winters, you got to have a good winter activity. So this is something for families to do, and they do a top-notch job out there. I'll just comment that I hope that when we review these leases, because I say this all the time on every one of these leases, we have some of the most prime real estate in Coeur d'Alene that it's leased out to vendors. And I do think we need to be conscious of what those fees are and if we're recouping costs for the city appropriately when we renew these, and not just keep extending at the old rates.
Well,
And
there is a fee schedule and increases, and so that's why I mentioned the year 3. He's picking it up from, there's an incremental increase, and I believe it's year 5 or 6, it really takes a big jump. So we've got some
Good. That's my only
accelerators in that
keep
price.
Keep an eye on those things for the city benefit. And otherwise, I think for the public, it's just a great opportunity and a great partnership.
Dan, anything?
No, I think it's great. It's fun. People have been asking about that for years. Now we have it. And it's not like they're out playing football in the snow. So
Maybe we should try that. Maybe I should talk to the
Snow
rec side
football?
and see if we can do football.
Boom hockey was a good, fun thing.
Quick question. Did I read that the fellow who's taking over it has operated it? Did he manage it?
He's taken over the entire, he managed it. He was their manager
So
last
he's been
season.
here, he
Yeah,
knows
was-
the process
So he
and
knows the
stuff.
process.
Okay.
So the reason, so it should be a really smooth transition.
Okay.
smooth as ice.
Smooth as ice, with a Zamboni.
With
Look
its
for a
hand.
motion, please.
So I'll move that we recommend to council approve transfer of the lease from J. Murray Enterprises LLC to VM Northwest LLC DBA Coeur d'Alene on Ice relating to the seasonal ice skating rink at McEwen Park, and we can put that on the consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any other thoughts, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent would be great there. Thank you. All right, the pressure's on now. Adam, welcome to our world.
Good afternoon, Council.
Adam is talking about saving us some money on the library, electronics, and lighting, right?
Yes, I'm here today asking for approval for lighting upgrades here at the library, as well as a citywide access control upgrade for our card readers and security system.
Sounds good.
Oh, so you want to tell us the financial side, why this is happening?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So the lighting upgrade would cost $20,689, and that includes rebate money from Avista for $23,811. The access control upgrade is $13,500, and both of these are outside the current budget.
Questions, you guys?
Yeah, Adam, which budget? Is that the library budget or is that the city's budget?
It would be from the city's budget.
Why isn't it from the library's budget?
I don't know.
Troy? What?
Great question.
Thank
We
you.
have centralized most of those expenses through our building maintenance, and the library produces no revenue other than the property tax dollars we take to fund that. Either way, it's outside of either budget. It was not anticipated. The driver in this obviously is that rebate program. Avista doesn't always have that. And then Adam can speak to the changes that he's been making with the access control that will keep a good arrangement going for our existing system.
I bring that up because I brought it up before, that there's lots of stuff that see, it's confusing to me that the library is a separate political entity, kind of. I mean, it's under our financial wing, but they really don't fund their own maintenance. They don't pay for their internet. They're not going to pay for the lighting. Do we pay for their utilities too?
That comes out of their budget.
Weird. Okay. I don't know. It would make sense to me if it was consistent, but I'm not going to nitpick it. Adam, tell us about the access thingies and the cloud.
The Brevo access control, it's the cards we all carry to get in through the buildings, the major campuses and buildings. What we currently have is approaching 10 years old, and it's an on-prem server next door at City Hall that controls the whole system. That on-prem service side of it is obsolete from the provider. They've gone, like most other technology companies these days, gone to a cloud-based system. So when that server that's next door that controls the whole thing goes down, we'll be forced to switch to the cloud, which is what we're here today asking for.
Oh. And how does that affect, like, do we need to issue, like, little security cards to everyone?
No, the way it'll work was everything will work kind of as is. Everything will work as it currently is. What they've done is take a screenshot, so to speak, of the server that we have next door and updated it to their cloud. The water department and the new fire boathouse are already on that cloud-based system because they no longer support the on-prem. So we're a little bit already there, and it's a good time to bring the rest of the city over as well.
And I assume this wasn't budgeted either?
No.
Is it true that extra 6,000 is a yearly?
Yes,
Yearly.
that's that's citywide. I think that brings us to 100 doors total. Water, being an enterprise fund, is paying for their own subscription service for that cloud-based service as well, and then taking over the rest of the city.
So that everybody contributes to that kind of budget-wise? Or just your budget carries it, but it's all
Yeah, I believe my
city?
budget carries it.
Okay. Kiki?
So this additional money is coming out of the general fund, is what we're requesting to do, is that right?
Yes.
And then, was there a deadline or something, or an expiration date on this Avista program? Why is this happening now as opposed to budgeting it into the next fiscal year budget for the library and/or the city?
Because the budget amount that we have from Avista is currently approved, and they do change every year, so we were hoping to take advantage of the money we have currently approved from Avista for that rebate.
Good.
Yeah, this is,
The enthusiasm is overwhelming
Yeah.
here.
And there's lights too, right? So this is replacing the lights?
Yes, this would be the library campus, both interior and exterior. We have a hodgepodge of lights throughout the building from its commissioning date of 2007, I believe. That's all antiquated technology, and what we would be doing is retrofitting a lot of the fixtures, if not replacing them with new high-energy efficient LEDs.
And there is a payback in that. Didn't you tell me that?
Yeah. So it's estimated to save about 80,000 kilowatt hours, totaling to about $6,000 in savings a year. So I think that's about a 3-year return on investment on that project.
and that's why I thought it's a good, I mean, you're gonna save money in the long run. It was just the timing that made me go, why wouldn't we just wait to budget this instead of come forward to ask for the extra money? So,
Good.
I'm okay with it.
Why didn't we, Troy?
The opportunity exists to work it into the schedule. Avista approved that. Sometimes those rebates do go away. And then the access controls, they're buying back the equipment that we currently have versus doing that in the future where we'd have to go out and buy that again. So we saw savings on both sides of this and working it into our schedule. And currently, the city has dollars in their savings account for especially a project that has a return on investment.
Okay, so I'd make a motion that we recommend to council to approve the financing of the library lighting and citywide access control upgrades in the amount of $34,189, and that it be placed on the consent calendar.
I'll second it if it's placed on the agenda because it's not a budgeted item. So I would like to see
Good with that?
discussion of full council.
Sounds fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We'll put that on the agenda. So Adam, you'll be under the spotlight one more time.
Sounds good. Thank you all.
Right. Thank you. Melissa, next up, approval of personnel rule update and classification compensation plan. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So I have 3 positions proposed for a leveling increase today. The first couple are in our wastewater department. We had done a full review of all the positions in wastewater a few months back. And the treatment operator one and the collection operator one both came back with a recommendation that they go up 1 pay grade. And it was really more based on the internal equity of the position. They both require a Class 1 certification, and that is equivalent to our water department's entry-level position as well. That is a pay grade higher. So the recommendation is really coming from making the water and wastewater entry-level positions equal, and so that is recommended to go up a pay grade. The third position is our current payroll specialist. So this is a little unusual because I came in front of council about 1.5 years ago, and we actually recommended lowering it was called payroll coordinator at the time, from a 12 to an 11, and that was approved. And really the justification with that was the current payroll coordinator at that time had kind of diversified some of the duties to some of the other finance staff, and really HR was coordinating and doing many of the audits and some of the other work for the payroll position. So it was really a shared effort between finance and HR. So with amending that job description at the time, the recommendation was to lower that pay grade. So it was an equivalent leveling to the HR specialist. So after that, we had some separation between our payroll position and actually the HR specialist position. We rehired the payroll position, and we ended up hiring someone with a lot of experience in payroll, doing a phenomenal job, and she's really doing all of the duties in that payroll position plus more, and the other finance employees really aren't doing any of the payroll work anymore. And then since we had such a strong payroll position, when I rehired the HR specialist position, I actually rehired it as an admin position, an admin assistant. So the current payroll person really is not taking direction from HR anymore. We're still supplying the information to her, but she is really doing it all on her own. So with that, we would recommend that that position goes back to the payroll coordinator title and back to the previous leveling at a pay grade 12. So with the wastewater positions, going from a pay grade 8 to a 9 is a 6% increase. And then the payroll position going from an 11 to a 12 is an 8% increase. It doesn't amount much for the remaining part of this fiscal year. The wastewater position, the collection position is currently filled, so that would be about a little over $400. And the collection position, the treatment operator one, we're currently recruiting for that. And then the payroll position for the remaining part of this fiscal year would be about $750. So those costs can be absorbed in the current budget, and then we'll be able to capture that moving forward for the next budget year. Happy to stand for any questions.
Questions, Mr. Gookin?
Thank you, Woody. I don't have any objections. I just have, it's curious to me because I remember coming back to reclassify this position. Because I bumped into the person that we were hiring out there in the real world, and she was really excited about getting the job, and just like, oh, here's I'm going to be working for the city. It's like, oh, cool. And I remember when you reclassified it down, the reason you said was that the person who was doing it wasn't really doing the full job according to the description.
Correct.
So, and I have a question because this is out of my area of expertise, but do we cater these positions for the person, or do we hire the person to fill the position?
Yeah, that's a great question. So generally, there's a learning curve. So within the 6 months to a year, there is a process that employees are getting up to speed, and it takes them a little bit to be able to capture the full job description. That's why there is a minimum to maximum in our leveling pay grades. So as they gain more experience and knowledge, they start receiving increases, and that is kind of how you continue to compensate employees for their work. But at some point, if you have a person in a position that is at a point that they are either not doing the full job description because they don't have the ability to do it, it's either a performance issue, or you have to look at maybe taking some of those duties out of the job description, how you can kind of spread that out. And if you do that, you really have to relook at the leveling and how you're compensating the employee. And that's what happened with the payroll person. She was doing fine doing the payroll job, but she had a hard time doing all the other things that kind of captured into that leveling. And HR was able to help with a few things, and that was fine. Our accountant was helping with a few things. So at some point, you have to look at the leveling.
But it still seems like, and again, I support this, but it still seems like you're looking at the person and not the position. And so it's like, if someone is not doing a job, we find someone who can do the job. I would hope that would be what we would do, as opposed to adjusting a position. And if someone is doing an outstanding job, then I don't see why we would reclassify the position as opposed to hiring them a new job. Again, this is your planet. This is not my planet. I know you're paid to understand it. I'm just kind of up here, and I don't object to what we're doing here. It's just I'm trying to understand the ins and outs of how that works, and I probably never will. So.
Well, it's not very often that we change a leveling and then change it again. I can't even think of a time that we've done that. But in this situation, our current payroll specialist is doing a great job, and she can do all of that work plus add things on that's helpful to finance. So it really, to keep her where she's at based on her ability and knowledge would just, it wouldn't be a good pay grade where she is
Internally, how does that happen? How does this come to the attention of someone like you? Or, I mean, when someone is just busting their butt like that and doing a great job, how does that get out?
Well, payroll and HR work very closely together, so I do have that advantage of knowing that, but generally it's brought forward through the department head.
Okay.
So the department head is recognizing that they are potentially working outside the scope of their job description. They come and we have a conversation about it. They amend the job description. I'll look at it and do some comparisons, and if it is something that it looks like it's significant enough to change the leveling, I send it on to our consultants for a second review, and they'll look at all of that as well, and they'll come back with a recommendation.
Is that consistent through all the departments?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Kiki.
My questions were along the same lines as Dan's. I just was going to add that when you do, I'm assuming we're paying for this consultant to review these items, and it sounds like we had a person who was not able to do the job description, parsed out pieces of it to other departments and/or people whose pay grade didn't change for taking on these duties. Then we have a new person who can do the job description and more, so we're changing the pay grade. What does the consultant say about that changing of the job description for the employee versus having, as Dan said, an employee hired to do the entire job description?
Yeah. Well, it was really more the inequity of last year, the HR specialist that had a very strong financial background. She was a pay grade 11, and the payroll coordinator was a pay grade 12. So that HR specialist was really guiding and providing a lot of the work. So that was really the inequity. She's not doing the full job description, but she's also taking most of her direction from a pay grade that's lower than her. So the consultants completely agreed that if you're going to remove these items from the job description, that position should be more equitable with that HR position. So with the payroll specialist that we have now, though, she came in with so much experience, and she really understands and got right into our software and how we do things, that right away I could tell that that position was not going to need as much HR support. So I was able to hire my position at a pay grade lower because I really needed more of an admin assistant with probably not so much financial knowledge. And the consultants agreed with that.
Hence the word leveling. So, thanks.
I just had a couple questions. So I'm going back to wastewater, sorry,
Yeah.
one of my passions. Both those jobs, I looked at how many strikeouts there were.
Yeah, it looks like a lot.
22 outs, but 17 new. These
Yeah.
kind of basic numbers. So is that because you're reformulating, I see some consistencies. You have to be able to do a backhoe, but it doesn't show snowplow in it. You take one out and you add one in. Is that the way this is presented? It's like a bunch of things crossed out and a bunch of things added.
Yeah.
And when I look at crossouts, there's more going away than are coming, or are they condensed?
They are condensed. There really was some more duplicative bullet points in there that Mike Anderson had gone through and changed some of that information. The biggest impact on that position was removing the flagger cert, because those positions really aren't doing that. And it was a lot of moving things around, so maybe this bullet point doesn't make sense there, and they moved it over into a different area. So it looks like a lot of changes, but the significance of the job there is not many. It was really, the leveling was not due to what it looks like has been changed. It was due to the water and wastewater, really, their certifications align pretty well. And so the current collection and operator wastewater positions at a pay grade 8, but still require a class 1 certification. And the other positions that are leveled at a pay grade 8 don't require any certification. So you might have your street maintenance worker that is very entry level, doesn't require any certifications, and these wastewater positions are currently leveled the same. So they really should be leveled equivalent to like the water operator that also requires the operator 1 cert.
And that's probably going to apply to water too, as we
Yeah.
up our standards. They have to be more qualified, and like you say, these are like certificates of training or something like that, right?
Yes, and when you're looking at those utility positions, a lot of the leveling comes down to what the certification is required.
Which is changing all the time.
For the water department, it's changing based on the size,
Right.
the city size currently, yes.
And comparing that to the payroll coordinator, more new ones than old ones. So just running basic numbers. So I think that's where you said it justifies it taking on more or a broader picture of what they're supposed to do. I thought
Yes.
it was interesting, and I'm just a yes, no type thing, so.
Yes.
Any other questions, you guys? I'll look for a motion on request for personal rule update.
So I'll make the motion to recommend the council approve personnel rule update to classified compensation plan in regard to the payroll coordinator, wastewater operator 1, and collection operator 1 classifications, and we can set that on the consent calendar.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent calendar, please. Moving on. Bill, are you here again? Oh, Adam. Aspen Homes. Yes. Sorry. I get all excited when I have all three of you guys in the same building, right?
Right.
This is in regards to acceptance of a bid for award to contract Aspen Homes for reconstruction of a garage at the Jewett House.
Yes. So, as you said, yeah, hoping to approve a contract with Aspen Homes to rebuild that Jewett House garage. They came in significantly lower than our next lowest quote, so $172,400, as opposed to the next lowest, which was $224,000, all to be paid for through insurance proceeds from our windstorm from 2021. So,
Questions?
Sure, I'll go. So Adam, thanks. We've been talking about the Jewett House. We brought it up in historic preservation discussions, and we've had a few meetings on what might potentially happen in the future. As you're doing this rebuild, which is, I'm assuming, insurance covered a full replacement value of what the existing garage was, but it has to be up to code. Are you having conversations, or I guess maybe keeping forefront of mind what the future may hold so that this could blend with whatever improvements happen to the main structure?
this is going to update the house, or, well,
The garage, for sure.
the facility itself, to make it much more user-friendly for the events that we have. So it's gonna add some restroom facilities. Right now, we're using porta potty facilities for those events. So it's kind of going in line with updating some of those things that'll make it a lot more user-friendly and open up maybe options for more groups to use it. So it's
Great.
certainly in line with.
Good,
some of
just
that,
as
yeah.
long as we're looking to the future for that and,
Yeah.
and helping keep it a great city asset, so,
Yep.
thanks.
No questions.
Just a quick one. When I first started reading it, I'm going, a garage, really, 100? Is it gonna have a home on it and stuff? And then I realized you guys are upgrading the restrooms, and that's really the value. So I have to ask, we did porta potties, they kind of go away and come back. So does that create more value for events on the rental side? Can you get another $25 or anything because you got better restrooms?
Potentially, I think right now we actually will lose, not a ton, but sometimes people err on the side of maybe not renting the facility because they don't like the use of porta potties. Because the house itself only accommodates 40 inside, so an event bigger than that, they can't use the single restroom that's in there. So if nothing else, it's gonna help us capture some of those extra events of people who are hesitant to rent. So, yeah.
So you're not necessarily putting dollar value to it. We have this new facility and we can do different things now, not necessarily worth more
No,
money.
it's just making things a little more accessible, because they'll be ADA accessible.
Okay.
Which is a huge benefit as opposed to using an ADA accessible porta potty. Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I'd make a motion for council to approve and accept the bid and award a contract to Aspen Homes for the reconstruction of the Jewett House garage in the amount of $172,400.
Second.
Moved and second, all those, questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
What do you think, consent? You want to bring it?
I'm fine with consent.
Yeah, I'm fine. This has been a while. I mean, calling you back up here in the middle of a motion.
Sorry.
No, that's not kosher. When was the windstorm? Which windstorm was
January
this?
of 21, I believe.
This is the 21 windstorm. Okay, and so we've been waiting this long to basically get all our ducks in a row.
Yes.
Wow.
consent.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Consent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Yes, second.
Been moved and seconded. We are adjourned. Thank you.